Have you ever tried to sneak out of a guy's house without getting caught by his parents? To be fair, you guys, this guy and I never talked. We were literally just friends, but let me tell you guys why it had to be sneaky. But this guy, we're gonna name him Ezekiel. So Ezekiel and I, to this day, we're still really good friends. And this particular weekend, I went down to my parents' house because I did not want to go out. And if you know, I live in LA, and on the weekends, for the most part, people go out, and I wasn't trying to go out, so I went to my parents' house to be wholesome. Keyword, trying to be wholesome. Trying, okay guys? So Ezekiel lives like a street or a couple houses from my parents' house, and I remember I had passed by his house because I just needed to go that way, and I seen a lot of cars there, and I was like, oh, this guy is having an event like TFTI, and he never really invites me out because one, I never really like met his parents or his family, and two, I'm never at my parents' house, so there's no point of inviting me. I remember that day him and I were texting, and he told me to pull up whenever his friends pull up because right now his family was mainly there, and I don't think he drinks when his like entire family is there. Because I wasn't doing anything and apparently I was supposed to be wholesome, I was like, you know what, why not? I literally walked my happy ass to his house at like 12 or 1 in the morning, and once I got there I was like, actually I don't think I want to go in because I don't even know your parents, I've never met them. And he was like, dude, who cares? He was like, everyone's already tipsy or buzzed, like no one's gonna remember anything. And I was like, oh god. There I go. I was like, dude, I'm already here, why not? I'm gonna go inside. So I go inside, and literally I get introduced to everybody. Some were buzzed, some were obviously not under the influence, but for the most part the important people that I met were not under the influence. So I basically say hi to everyone, and then I was just super nervous because I didn't really know these people. So the sister offered me a candy shot and I instantly took it. And then Ezekiel opened the fridge and I seen a twisted tea, and I was like, dude, let's shotgun a twisted tea. So basically he was down to take the shotgun, so we went to the front porch. So him and I took the shotgun. The shotgun ended up spilling all over me, you guys. It was such a freaking fail. I think I have a video somewhere in my gallery too where you can literally hear the freaking twisted tea just like freaking drenching, like that shit was like watering the grass. I literally wasted it. At this point I'm drenched in freaking twisted tea, and the last thing I wanted was to smell like alcohol in front of his family. So I immediately asked him, I was like, Ezekiel, can I just have some clothes or at least a sweater, that way my clothes doesn't smell like alcohol? And yes, you guys, I could have easily just went back home to get my own clothes, but the thing is, if you live in a Mexican household like I do, once you step inside of the house after it being like 1 in the morning and you try to step back out, girl, good luck, because 99% of the time it's not gonna work out. So he agrees to let me borrow some clothes, and so him and I end up going upstairs, and no one sees us go upstairs, which I'm honestly glad because I don't want people to assume anything. So as he's literally in his closet getting me like some clothes, I literally hear, I want to assume it's his mom, I literally hear his mom yell his name, and I was like, oh my god, there's no way I'm gonna go down with you because they're probably gonna assume the freaking worst. Like, imagine you're in a guy's house, the parents don't even really know you, they're probably gonna assume something. I at least know my parents would ask questions and they would be like, oh, why are you bringing a guy over, like what were you guys doing upstairs? So I just didn't even want those questions to be brought up. So literally when I heard the mom or whoever yell his name, I literally dipped straight into his closet. So at this point I'm literally in this guy's closet, in the corner closet, because this side of the closet door wasn't closing, so I had to go on this side just in case someone tried to come in, they wouldn't see me. So I was literally like this, covered in his clothes, dripping in sweat, you guys, because it was so hot in his room from the very beginning. But imagine just going inside a closet covered with clothes on top of your head and everywhere, dude, sweating. As he's downstairs, 20 minutes pass by, 30 minutes pass by, 40 minutes passed by, and I was like, oh my god, there's no way I'm gonna be stuck in this house overnight. At this point an hour passes by, and I needed to get out of the freaking closet because my sweat was literally like dripping onto my arms. It was disgusting. And when I got out of the closet, I overheard a conversation where the mom was like, oh, where's your friend? And literally Ezekiel was like, she left. And dude, my bag and my sweater were already on his bed, so I literally had to move my stuff, put it on the floor and cover it, because at this point I was no longer there. Obviously I was still there, you guys, but he ended up telling his mom that I ended up leaving. So at this point I was screwed. Once I was able to catch a little bit of fresh air and hide my things, I went back into the closet, and girl, I was in the closet for another 30 minutes. My gut feeling was telling me to hop back into the closet, because any day now, I just knew his mom was gonna come upstairs and probably come into his room and probably put this guy to sleep, because at this point, I think they were downstairs taking more shots, so I knew he was gonna come back to pass out. So I'm in the closet for another 30 minutes, and you guys, thank God I listened to my intuition, because he walked in and 5 minutes after, the mom walked into the room. So at this point, it was literally me in the closet. The mom was talking to him while he was on the bed ready to pass out, and I was just scared for my life. I told you guys earlier, the closet door was open on this side, so I was on this side, and you guys, I literally seen the mom duck down, get the freaking canasta of his dirty clothes, drop it literally in front of the closet, and I was like, dude, knowing my mom, she probably would have lurked in my closet or tried to like fix the clothes. Thank God his mom did not, because she would have caught me. At this point, my heart was pounding and I wanted to laugh so badly, but I knew the moment I made noise, it was game over for both of us. So I just stood quiet as much as I could. The mom was done conversating with him, and she goes, "Good night, Ezekiel, I love you." And then he basically says, "I love you back." She leaves the room, closes the door. No way I was gonna get out of the closet right away, so I waited under like 5 minutes. And dude, I kid you not, 2 minutes later, all I hear is Ezekiel snoring. So I was like, bro, there's no way this guy forgot about me in the closet. So I wait for a little bit, and then I yell out, whispering, not yelling, but I whispered. I was like, "Ezekiel!" And he was like, And then he just didn't say anything after that. And I was like, dude, he fell asleep again. So then I was like, "Ezekiel!" And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Can you like walk me out? I'm still here." And then he fell back to sleep again. And then I waited for like 2 minutes, and then I was like, "Hello?" I was like, "Can you wake up?" And I think he like woke up from his like deep sleep, and he like processed the fact that I was still there. And I was like, "Dude, can you like me puedes echar aguas and make sure your mom isn't here, because I don't want to walk out and then she just freaking be right there." And boom, we're both caught up. I really need to mention this part. The main reason I didn't just walk out is because the mom, when she walked into the room, this guy, I don't know who he be, freaking he left his wrappers on the floor. So imagine I would have walked out, the mom would have for sure thought it was me. But in reality, I just wanted some clothes because I dropped some alcohol on me. So he finally wakes up, he opens his door, and he was like, "Okay, my mom's in her room. Hurry up, I'm gonna take you downstairs," and you just walk out. We go downstairs, and then he goes, "Just FYI, my cousins are here." I was like, "Bro, I don't even care if your cousins see me at this point. I just want to leave before your mom sees." I am walking down the damn stairs, walk of shame, as if freaking we did something, but in reality, nothing happened. I just wanted a freaking sweater. And his cousins just look at me. I just start to laugh because I met those cousins earlier. And literally the moment freaking Ezekiel opens his door, I run out. I literally run out, you guys. And I run out because they have cameras like us at our house. So I did not want the camera to catch me. So I literally was like, zoom. Next day he calls me, and we're basically talking about what had just happened yesterday. And then I asked him, I was like, "Dude, did your parents check the camera? Did they see me?" And he was like, "No, they don't check cameras like that." He was like, "They didn't ask anything." So he was like, "We're good." And I was like, oh my God, thank God. Never freaking again, you guys. You see what happens? I went home to my parents to be wholesome, and that shit bit me in the ass. If you didn't get invited, don't show up. We're gonna call this old friend Alyssa. We stopped now, but almost every year for my brother's and I's birthday, we would always have a party with Grupo, and we would invite a lot of friends and family. That year, very last minute, one of my brothers decided that he wanted to have a party. Since it wasn't my party, my brother was asking me and my other brother who it is that we are inviting. That way we have like count for food, beverages, grupo, and all of that. My brother kindly asked that we only invite people who are not drama, because we've had a lot of parties at my parents' house where there always ends up being drama, especially if there's alcohol involved or if there's like certain people who don't like each other attending the same event. So I nearly almost forgot to apply some concealer. What the heck? At this point, my older brother starts to read the little roster that he made for the people that he invited, and the moment he named one specific guy, I was like, oh, I'm not inviting this girl. Obviously, at this girl, we named her Alyssa. The only reason I mentioned that if this one guy friend is getting invited, we definitely shouldn't invite Alyssa, because Alyssa and this guy have history, they're exes. As her friend, I already know how she can be, especially with alcohol, so I just would much rather avoid any drama or any potential fights and arguments, especially because this is my brother's birthday party, not mine. So now it's the day of the party that my brothers and I have been planning for a couple of weeks now. We are, I want to say, like 2 or 3 hours into the party, and someone comes up to me. I don't remember who it was, but someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, did you invite Alyssa and her cousins?" And I was like, no, we basically made sure that if we were inviting her ex, that she wasn't gonna show up. Or if I were to invite her, then we would make sure her ex wouldn't be there. The person who basically came to tell me if I had invited the girls responds back to me and says, the only reason I'm asking is because they're here. And I was like, what? Who invited them? And they were like, well, apparently not you, apparently not your brothers, and apparently not your parents. And I was like, so if they didn't get invited, why are they here? Like, I ended up getting up from the table and I started to walk in their direction, and they still hadn't sat down. They were basically on the side of the house, which is where the entrance for the party was. I went up to them, I said hi, and honestly I just kept my cool. Like, I wasn't upset. It was just more the fact that I had to respect my brother's decision, and my brother wanted to invite his guy friend because obviously it's his birthday. The thing here, guys, is if she knew how to put whatever they had going on to the side. So at this point, her, I, and whoever she was here with, I think it was like her cousin and another girl, I basically, in telling them, I'm like, hey, I don't mean to be a bitch, but you didn't get invited. I know I could have said it in a nicer way now looking back at it, but one thing about me is I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you, and if you didn't get invited because other people didn't want you to, then I'm just gonna let you know. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. Like, it is what it is. Alyssa responds back to me and she says, well, girl, technically we did get invited. And I was like, oh, okay, by who? She says, we got invited by one of your brother's friend's girlfriend. And I looked at her and I was like, she's not the owner of the house. She's technically a guest also. I respond back and I was like, look, I'm not trying to make this a big deal. You guys didn't get invited. And my dad tries to come over here to like ease the conversation. And there was nothing going on between her and I. But right away they were like, oh, like they said my dad's name, and I just tried to get them away from my dad because my dad is a very sweet person, and I know that they're just gonna try to butter him up and, you know, take advantage of him, and I was not up for it. Like, dude, obey my brothers and I rules. Simple. Alyssa then says, well, technically we just came to pick her up because we're going to another party. And I was like, oh, well, that's fine, you can go and wait for her outside. And she was like, why can't we just stay in here? And I was like, you guys didn't get invited. I was like, these are not my rules. I am just obeying the rules. I was like, if it was for me, you guys can go and sit at a table, but because these are my brother's rules, I'm going to listen to him. I was like, and if you guys can't respect that, I was like, then you guys just like need to leave. They finally decide to walk away, and they're calling me all of these names. And keep in mind, I'm keeping it cool because I still consider you my friend. It just so happened that it wasn't my party and my brother wanted to invite this guy and he just didn't want you to be there. That's it. I ended up sitting back down at the table, and a couple minutes later, one of my friends comes up to me and goes, look at this tweet. I don't remember exactly the words that the tweet says, but it was something along the lines of, some people are rude, they're funny, they're fake. And I was like, oh my god, like, you really had to go on social media and put this out there? Like, just be a fucking adult about it and accept the fact that you didn't get invited. What makes all of this funny is, if you scroll down a couple more tweets, she literally tweeted a couple days ago saying, if you didn't get invited to a party, do not invite yourself. And I'm like, bro, just take your own advice. They ended up cutting me off. I didn't even care to fight for the friendship because it was so petty and not worth it.
My mother acts like I don't know what kind of mom she is. My mother acts like I don't know what I just saved my little sister from. My mom is so fucking mad. My mom is so fucking pissed off that I have my little sister, and I saved her. I'm giving her the fucking life she deserves. So since my mother has forgotten what kind of mom she is and what kind of childhood she gives her kids, I'm a reminder. And I'm only going to tell you a little piece of it. All right, so when I was about 16, 17, we had gotten evicted for the last time. This was when my mom was in the deepest part of her drug addiction, and our stepdad had left, so everything just went haywire after that. All the kids pretty much just got separated. Some went with families, some went with friends. Everyone was just kind of fending for themselves. After a couple months of jumping around, my mom was no longer able to stay with the person she was staying with, so she was going to be homeless. So at 17, 16, almost 17, I decided to book a hotel room and stay with my mom so she wouldn't be homeless. Every single day we were in that hotel room, I sold my body to a grown man to make sure that we could afford our stay. All while I was still trying to finish high school. Those 4 months that I was in that hotel room were the worst months of my life. My mother stole from me every fucking day. One time I had my last $100 that I was going to put on the room so we didn't get kicked out, and she stole that from me and disappeared for 10 hours. When she finally came back, she told me that she had brought me cappuccino and I shouldn't be sad. And when I yelled at her, she fucking threw the hot cappuccino on me. There was one time where I woke up in the middle of the night and she was cutting her face with a razor blade, like just continuously cutting her face. And I started yelling and freaking out trying to stop her. And she said that if I came near her, she would kill me. So that whole night I had to sit there in that bed and just listen to my mom cut her face. And the next day, when she got stopped by the cops for something and they asked her what was wrong, she told them that some men pulled her in a car and attacked her. The only reason I stopped being in that hotel room was because I had gotten arrested. She smoked a blunt in the hotel room and I was the one who went to jail. I spent 36 days in juvie because my mom wouldn't come get me out. And I wasn't even sad. That 36 days in juvie was away from her. I wasn't having to sell myself and I was safe for 36 days. When I got out, my uncle finally came and got me because he had heard about what was going on. So I was finally free from her for a couple months. Growing up, my mother always taught me to use my looks and use my body to get what I wanted. So during that time in the hotel, my mother even tried to get people for me so I could make more money. I graduated high school with fucking honors and I did everything I had to. I even went to college. But of course, me still being a kid that just thought, oh, my mom it was the drugs. Oh, it was the bipolar disorder. Oh, it's not mom. It's not her fault. I still try to have a relationship with my mom. So at 20, I'm still trying to go see her. She still has my little sister. So I'm still just trying to see my little sister. I came to my brother's house for my 20th birthday. Well, my mom was living with my brother, so that's the only reason she had my little sister, by the way. But she wanted me to come to their house for my birthday so she could make me this fabulous birthday dinner. We're Puerto Rican, so she was making a lechon. And if you know, lechons are usually on the holidays. You don't make those all the time. They're expensive. They're hard to make. She got so fucked up that day that she ended up taking all the food she cooked for me and threw it outside just because she got mad at us. That same day, she proceeded to hit me repeatedly and told me that I deserved to get raped when I was 15 years old. So you might have forgotten what kind of mom you are, but I will never forget. I've spent countless hours in therapy. I have gone to multiple mental hospitals and I've tried to kill myself a lot. You broke me in every way possible and I took years to put all the pieces back together and fix myself. So since you seem to forgot, I'm gonna remind you and I hope you see this.
Junior year of college, I was an RA, and I was a cool RA. Like, I don't care if your man comes to stay. Anyway, I had this roommate. She was a freshman, and through what I felt like was a federal investigation, I ended up finding out that she was pretending to shower, she did not use toilet paper, and she did not wash her hands when we were in the midst of a global pandemic, right? And it took me a while to come to this conclusion, but she smelled like a hot trash can in Alabama. She smelled so bad. Anyway, so I'm the RA, so I can do whatever I want, right? So I bought out like all these candles from Bath & Body Works and I decided to light one. I put it in like our little like sink place, like where we brush our teeth, and then I went into the kitchen to get something. When I came back, the candle was blown out. I was like, oh my gosh, that's weird. I was going back to the kitchen. I think I was like air frying something. Literally, I'm the RA, I can do whatever I want to. Came back, it was blown out again. I was like, okay, like maybe it's a dry for here, like I'll just put the candle in my room. Put the candle in our room, finished doing whatever I was doing in the kitchen, came back in my room. My roommate is literally sitting in my room like, ooh, she called me. And I'm like, what are you doing in my room? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, bro, like, literally get out of my room. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't be fucking up my space. It's the only clean space in this entire house because you stink so bad. So anyway, I looked down, the candle's blown out. So I was like, okay, Candy, that's what we're gonna call it. Candy's been blowing out my candles this entire time. So I texted her and I was like, hey, first of all, don't ever go in my room unless you want problems with me, okay? Let's start there. And I'm, okay. Anyway, so I was like, don't ever do that again. Like, the only reason that I have these candles light is because you stink. End of discussion. She didn't say anything else, left me on red, okay? Then the next day I'm at my other job when I worked at the library, and I get a text from my big boss, and he was like, hey, we need you to hop on this Zoom call right now. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I hop on the Zoom call, and it's like all my bosses, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And they were like, did you say that your roommate stinks? And I was like, yeah, I did. And they were like, why did you say that? And I told them why. And they're like, that's inappropriate, like that's mean, that's bullying, that's blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And he was like, well, you need to text her and apologize. You need to send her an email and apology, and when you get home, you need to apologize again. And I was like, okay. So I texted her, and I was like, this is the reason that I said that you stink. It was never giving an apology. It was never giving an apology, right? So anyway, whatever. Get back on another Zoom with the big boss, and he was like, yeah, also we're going to be putting you in anger management classes because you really need to figure that out. And mind you, he was not. And I was like, you really, whatever. So then we ended up having a bigger intervention with the girl and her mama and like the bigger bosses. And the mom was like, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention this in our previous meeting, but Jayana fought my daughter. And I was like, oh, really, when? Just like that. I said, oh, really, when? And she's like, oh, you think you're so smart? It was February 18th. And I was like, Candy, isn't that your sister's birthday? And she was like, yeah, how do you know that? I was like, because you kept telling me, and you texted me, and I have the text right here that you were going to be home in Texas on February the 18th. February the 18th, I was also in Mobile, Alabama, getting my driver's license renewed. Exhibit A. Thank you very much. It says February 18th. And she was like, the mom was like, okay, well, maybe Jayana didn't fight my daughter, but this is on this side, blah, 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 blah. Hey, I quit. Thank you so much.
Have you ever gotten a tattoo from a legally blind person? Because I have, and here's the story about that. So I'm going to take you back a few years. I had just graduated, and my mom wanted to do something sweet for me for my graduation. So she was like, hey, I will get you a tattoo. Like, you know what? You've been wanting one for so long. I will take you to get one. We'll be a little mother-daughter date. So we decided to both get tattoos. My mom wanted to get this like really dainty fine line cross on the back of her neck, and I decided to tattoo my entire sternum. Meanwhile, this is my first tattoo. I don't know what I was thinking. I had not done enough research. I'm a newbie at this. And so I picked this random shop. My mom and I drive 4 hours to this shop. And like, of course, I'm all pumped. I'm all excited. I've always wanted to get tattoos. So I was ready. I was prepared. I was so excited. We show up, and this is the most hole-in-the-wall, sketchiest looking shop I've ever seen in my life. And it was pretty much like in the middle of nowhere. Like there was no surrounding shops and stuff. It was just this little tattoo shop. I was so excited. I thought nothing of it. I was like, you know what? I don't care. Like, it's going to be fine. It's going to turn out great. So I called in. I made an appointment a few days prior, and it was going to be with this guy. I'm not going to name him, but I go to check in, and I'm like, hey, my mom and I are here for some tattoos. And he like checks us in and everything. We're signing a waiver, you know, getting a copy of our license, you know, saying that we're of age, whatever. And then he brings out this form, and he goes, I have to tell you ladies that I am legally blind without these glasses on. And these were thick glasses, like very thick. And he said, I have to have you sign this consent form, that acknowledging that I am legally blind and you're allowing me to tattoo you. I said, sure. Who cares if you're legally blind? Tattoo my whole stomach. I don't know. In my defense, in my mind, I was like, okay, there's no way he would have a tattoo license if he like genuinely was like super blind and couldn't tattoo. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, okay, homie may be blind, but he's still got talent. So my sternum tattoo is a like floral lotus mandala type thing with a bunch of beads going down, right? We do the tattoo, right? He does the tattoo, all goes well, whatever. And then I get home and I'm looking at the picture I gave him and I'm looking at my tattoo. My tattoo is so blown out and scarred, it's not even funny. To this day, you can feel the entire outline of my tattoo. I've had many tattoo artists like look at it and they're like, you are so badly scarred, it's insane. It looks fine from far away, but don't look at it up close.
Let's do a get ready with me and a story time because this story just deserves to be shared. Alright, to set the scene for you, I was in middle school, and in middle school, it's literally the most awkward years of your life, and everybody is just trying to fit in. At this stage of my life, I was kind of going through a rough patch, just hanging around the wrong people. I wasn't really bad, but I definitely needed to get back on track. So during middle school, we needed AR points, which were like reading points, and we had to take tests on books. And I hadn't finished my book yet, but you know, I was in my self-care era even back then, and I decided to take my book into the bath to read, but I also decided to take my phone. Let me also add, this is when iPhones were not as waterproof as they are now. So I go to step into my freshly made bath with bubbles and everything, with my book in one hand, a bath bomb in the other hand, and my phone. So my hands were full, too full. So when I step in, I drop my phone. Traumatic. I'm obviously upset because I think my phone is broken. I also dropped my book, which I'm borrowing from the school. And so I pick my phone up. My book is just floating through the water. And I pick my phone up like this. I don't think anything of it. I run downstairs, I put it in a bag of rice, and I get back in my bath and I start reading my half-soaken book. All of a sudden, people are banging on the bathroom door, saying that my best friend has called the house phone like 8 million times. So I get out of the bath in my towel, I walk to my room, and I call her back, and I'm like, hey, like, what's up? She's flipping out, like, she's hyperventilating, you know, like, Ace, what is on your story, what is on your story? And I'm like, what do you mean what's on my story? Like, my phone is broken and a bag of rice. And she's like, girl, like, there's a video of on your story. And I'm in complete shock, so I'm literally just sitting on my bed in a towel, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to tell my mom, like, this is horrifying. I tell my mom, my best friend comes over. I'm still wrapped in a towel, and I look down over my balcony, and my neighbors are there, my dad is there, everyone you don't want to be there to see this video. I get to watch the video for the first time, and I am literally bawling my eyes out, and my book is just floating through the water of the video. If you're wondering why I didn't just log in and delete it, I didn't know my login. So some kid eventually logged in and deleted it for me. And at school the next day, everyone hugged me and acted as if I had a family member pass away, and I had to give a speech in front of the whole school. Don't take your phone in the bath.
Get ready with me to tell you how my boyfriend found out I was lying about my age. Okay, before I start, I do not condone this. This is just something that happened to work out for me. And just some disclaimers. This relationship was based online. Like, obviously we're still together and like we see each other, but this was built online. Not to mention, I was 12 years old. That seems very young. Like, I'm aware of that. But like my entire life growing up, I had always been very physically and like mentally mature, at least compared to the people my age. So when I met Caden, he was 15. And honestly, my main thought process was, I don't know this kid. He lives in Canada. I'm never gonna see him. This isn't going anywhere, so it doesn't matter. Like, also, I thought he was really cute, and if I told him I was 12, I knew for a fact he would stop talking to me. So I kind of figured, like, what's the big deal? So during one of our little getting to know each other conversations, I told him I was 15 too. And based on how I looked and spoke, I knew he wouldn't question it. Like, when I was 12, people were mistaking me for 18, 21 sometimes. So I was like, I got this. So anyway, we started dating August 20th, 2014. Everything is going great, okay? We're texting all day, we're Skyping all the time. My birthday eventually comes around on November 6th. I wake up to this long, like, happy 16th birthday, I hope you have the best day, just this long, cute message. Meanwhile, it's been 3 months. Like, I forgot that he thought I was 15. So on my birthday, he thought I was turning 16. Now, the right thing to do in this situation is to come clean right then and there. Did I do that? No. My thinking was, it's my birthday. Like, if I tell him, he'll probably get really mad and I won't have a boyfriend anymore. And I'm just not getting broken up with on my birthday. That's just not happening. So I thought, no way am I ruining my day. I'll tell him in a few days, next week, something, but I'll tell him. So I went along with it. I was like, thank you. Oh my god. I go to school, everything's normal. So that night, we're on Skype. Then, like, out of nowhere, he's like, hey, why did your mom post on your wall happy 13th birthday? First of all, why are you searching me on Facebook? But I play it cool. I'm like, oh,
obviously it's a typo, like she didn't mean to put that. He was like, yeah, but like everyone is saying happy 13th birthday. I was like, yeah, well. So I was definitely busted, and I was super scared that he was going to get mad because, like, I really liked him. All he ended up saying was like, you know, you do not look 13, which I knew. But I'm 21, he's turning 24 next month. It's been 8.5 years, and we're very happy.